Life is Art is dedicated to bringing you insightful commentary on art, culture, and life. To support the podcast, feel free to make a monetary donation or purchase our official Life is Art merchandise at the link in the description. Your donation helps us to reach a wider audience and helps us to gain traction in the world of social media. Thank you for your viewership and support. Life is Art. Art moving at the speed of life. Life moving at the speed of art. A podcast on YouTube, Life is Art. It's a smaller
Life is art?
Life is Art.
Okay.
And lately I've been doing a segment called Coffee Cup Conversations. And it's basically people from all walks of life that are they're not afraid of participating in just human conversations. And I just kind of think we got away from having conversations. We text, we Facebook Messenger, and I think it's taken away from the human part of it.
Yeah.
And I heard about you when Susan had told me everything that you were going through to try to get to the United States. And up until today, I didn't have the complete story of everything that you were faced with, everything that you went through. And she finally laid it out in a linear way to where I understood. And I have to tell you, it was remarkable what you and your family went through. And I just find it fascinating because I think we take for granted some of the freedoms that we have here. And you went through something that was very eye-opening. And I wanted to ask you about your journey from where were you?
Afghanistan?
Afghanistan. How you got in contact with Susan, how that relationship began, and how you made it here, how you became friends, and how that friendship resulted in, you and your family having a better life.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. I do believe that uh, putting up all these stories that for the people to hear, I think that's kind of encouragement for them because sometimes in life we feel that these are the days that we feel that, okay, it's end of the world and we feel hopeless. But at the same time, we don't know that on the other corner of the world, what are other people are facing. So hearing those stories, I think that's also something that I want to spread the words to the people, to the world to know. Uh, so I would start that how I met with Susan. In 2019, I had my business in Afghanistan for so many years. It was my mom, and then it was a family business, my mom, and then I was enrolled. So my mom took a step back, and then I was managing the business. On 2019, there was a program that they were helping us with writing business plans and helping us to navigate more in the business and making it something more like a turning that business more into formal business or making it like connecting it with the international markets.
Is that the
So,
business you're currently involved in?
yes, it's the same business, yeah. So I was the program was designed in a way that one part was in Afghanistan for, I don't exactly remember, for so many, I think it was 3 or 2 months.
Can you tell me about the mission of the program?
Yeah, it was just enabling Afghan women that they are in the businesses to connect them with the global markets and also to help them making that business established businesses in terms of like how to write the business plans, how to do your finance, how to manage the finance and accounts and all that. So the goal for this program was this one, and we're helping Afghan women and the women in Rwanda. So that was the two countries that we're targeting that they were helping. And so the second part of the program, the ones that were completing the program and were successfully like moving to the next step, Then they were invited in the United States in Oklahoma City to hear like for a period of mentorship to
So
just
you were empowering women in business with what you were doing.
Oh, of course, definitely. Because I do believe that women empowerment is if a woman is economically empowered, then means that she can contribute to the family in decisions, she can contribute to the community. So that's strongly I believe on that. That's why I was working for that. Because through the way that I have chosen was working on women's economic empowerment programs. So that was part of it. That's how like I ended up in here in Oklahoma. And then Susan, on the last days that we were almost at the end of the program, I met with Susan. I was with someone else that who was a business mentor for me while I was in Oklahoma. And then she got into something urgent, a family matter. And then Susan was here. So I was introduced with Susan, and she was so kind from the first day, and we had like a good chat together. We talked about my business, about the plan and the goal that I had. That was the time that I think Susan was also thinking about setting up this gallery. So we had a good conversation, and then we continued. After I flew back to Afghanistan, we kept the communications, and we decided that okay, once the gallery is established, and I'm going to send some of the products that I have that she can sell it in here. So that's how we can build up the relationship between the women in Afghanistan and the women in Oklahoma. That's how I end up meeting with Susan. But when the Taliban took over uh, on August 2021, I was in Kabul, and I had no idea what's happening. And I was there that we hear that the Taliban is here. So I was kind of lost. I didn't know what to do. And I was just like uh, knocking every door to just see that, okay, is there something that I can do for my family? Because I was scared. I was afraid. For my children, I have two children. And then Susan was the one who was staying up night, all the nights. Like she was just on the phone with me, trying to make me feel calm, like relax, and then trying to find some support for me because she didn't know what to do. So she been in contact with so many people, and that's how they end up like to find someone who can help me through the governor of Oklahoma City.
I think she had to go to Governor Stitt and try to get this ball moving
That's right.
because time was of the essence.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And when she was describing what you were faced with, I mean, there could have been a loss of life. There's all these things that could have happened.
Exactly.
And you're working and she was working against time, not knowing if any of her efforts
That's
were
right.
gonna work.
That's right. And even when she was telling me, is she gonna find a way? I was just thinking maybe that she's not in here. She doesn't know about the situation in Afghanistan, so it might not be even possible. But I think it was the second or third day when the Taliban took over Afghanistan that she called me early in the morning, and then she said that Hasina, I find a way for you. And I couldn't believe. I said, Susan, it's not possible because for me even it was impossible.
Yeah.
But she made it possible. So she said, no, there are some possibilities.
Susan's always been determined and she's quietly very heroic. I don't think that she would admit to being heroic. But when she puts her mind to a cause, I mean, case in point, what the gallery, 1515 Lincoln Gallery has become, she generally sees everything through.
That's right.
And she's got a big love of humanity.
That's right.
So that part of your story with Susan, it doesn't surprise me because she's a gem of a person.
She is.
But it was so harrowing when she was explaining what you were faced with. I think that was very human for me as far as understanding what I have here, just innately, just what I have, being an American. I don't think a lot of people can really understand that different cultures have different things going on,
Yeah.
and different nations have things going on, and we take a lot of stuff for granted, freedoms, the ability to express ourselves. And you now come from both worlds, you're away from that. but you also have a point of reference as to what it means to have that threatened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest with you, Susan is, I think, so far that I know her, she is the one who's making impossibles to possibles because she have proven that to me, not only to me, now that she's doing the same work for the women in Afghanistan, that they have left with no hope. And at this point, that no one is ready to help them, no one is ready to hear them, and they don't have any voice. But here Susan step in and she's trying to help them, despite that there are so many challenges in working with them, there are so many struggles that we have to go through that, but still she's putting so much time into this and just trying to help them. And overall the goal that she have, that at least if not more, the ones that we can based on our ability, that we need to help. So yeah, definitely it's also not surprising for me too.
Well, I finally got the story from Susan, and Susan is sitting here with us right now. Finally have a chance to talk, and I am so happy to hear the tale in its totality. I got flashes of it because she was involved in so much, but I could see in her eyes the concern and everything that you were trying to do. I didn't realize the gravity of everything because she only had moments to tell me about it in segments and in little fragments because she was always on the move. Um, when you got involved with this, were you afraid that there was the possibility that you might not be able to help and then you have to deal with, wanting to be
I really didn't know how much I'd be able to help. I mean, initially, I was even shocked how things turned out that I was able to help Hasina and her family. I it was my deepest desire to get them out of Kabul, but I had no experience in immigration law. I had no contacts in Afghanistan with embassies or anything, and so it was like totally shooting in the dark to even figure out a way. Hasina's miles away saying, "Susan, please help us." And I didn't know what to do. So I called everyone I possibly could. Former Governor David Walters had the best advice. He said, write a compelling letter about telling Hasina's story and how they will be killed if they stay. And that was a real threat if he stayed because of the work that she was doing at the time, helping.
which was contradictory to what the Taliban believed and supported. So,
Well, you might say a little bit about the NGO that you were running and how many women you were helping at the time.
Yeah, I was helping through that NGO that I was leading around 8,000 Afghan women around Afghanistan, which is a big number. And we were working with the grassroots level communities. So the ones that they were like in the villages without any access to the resources and without any voice, even in the like before the Taliban, the Afghan government. So even at that time, I was helping them. So that was, yeah, that's what I was helping them with, to create businesses for them, to create job opportunities for them, and also to make them enable that one day they can turn their skills into business. So that's what I was trying to help them by providing trainings, by providing some sort of financial support through different resources, and also to connect them with the global market as well. That was the overall aim for that
And
organization.
Hasina had a lot of accolades for the work that she was doing at the time. She received, a national or international businesswoman of the year award. She's also a fashion designer, and her fashions were being and shown in Milan and different places around Europe.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
When you received word that the Taliban was taking over, I assume you knew exactly how serious that was.
Exactly.
Um, what did you feel like that moment when you heard? Did you panic or were you like, okay, I've got to show some kind of resolve and I've got to figure out this thing. How am I going to deal with this? What does this mean for my family?
Well, It's a little bit difficult to put those feelings into words because I don't think that I have the exact words to explain the feelings that for the first time when I hear that they aren't here, I was in shock. I didn't know. For a few minutes I had no idea what I have to do. I was just trying to think that okay, whom I should say first. So that was like it was difficult for me that should I go for it's just my mom. My mom doesn't have anyone else, so I'm the only child for my mom. I was trying to figure out I should help my mom. I should help my children. I should help the women that they are working with me because on that day when the Taliban came, I was with all the the people that they are working for me. So we were in a bank and I was trying to do the transactions. It was end of the month. I was supposed to pay for their salaries. And they were here and they were also looking at me as that, okay, what we have to do. So I was the hope for them. And I didn't know which one is my priority. I have to save them. I have to save my family.
And Hasina called me from Kabul at an ATM machine saying everything's shut down. And I've given my passports to a friend. He's at the Indian embassy trying to get us a visa to go to India. I was so desperate. I called friends in Rwanda. I was going to try to get them on a flight because they could get a visa in flight or once they landed at Kigali. We were looking for any place that would take Afghan nationals.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of interesting to me because a lot of freedoms that we take, for granted that you wake up with those freedoms. Men, women here in the United States, it's very strange to me that it's on the same planet, but it's worlds apart. Just the entire way that cultural dynamics go, and that you could have lost your life simply by trying to empower other women and make their lives better. That is so far above the average American's bandwidth as far as understanding that your story, it makes me very thankful as far as what I have. And, I think about my daughter. I've got a daughter too. And she's very independent. She may become an artist. I don't know, but she's traveling that path. But I think stories like yours would probably galvanize somebody like my daughter, to be the best that they can be in the face of adversity and things that you have to be brave in the face of. So, Susan, I have a question for you. Because it almost seems like when we were talking, can you describe because you wrote something and you didn't have all the information that you thought you needed. Can you describe that moment of how you felt when you gave the information that you could that would help her family get over here, that would help her get over here when you got confirmation?
Well, I circulated that information to everybody, people in Washington, our congressional delegation.
And how long was that whole process? That was
Could have
from the
been
beginning to the end?
I don't know. I mean, it was maybe a couple of weeks or so because we're just trying so hard. I mean, we knew that the Taliban was coming, but we didn't know that they were coming to Kabul. And I actually was on the phone with Hasina when she was going to the bank. And I said, have you seen the news? They're in Kabul. She said, oh, no, they're not. I said, no, they're in Kabul.
Wow.
And so then we talked and they were there and the bank had been shut down and her friend was at the Indian embassy and that had been shut down. And so it became immediate because we were already working on some things. We were working on the original idea was for Hasina to come to Oklahoma with her mother and to have an exhibition of all of this wonderful work by these women at my forward gallery. And we're planning it around Christmas time of 2020. We're actually going to plan it for 2021, but we started the planning in 2020. And I circulated that letter to Amber Sharples because I thought maybe we could get some validation from the state arts council, because the state arts council could help support this visit of Hasina and her mother to other artisans and other women throughout the state. We're going to do a little tour. And Hasina actually sent me a DHL box of samples that we would have. Little did we know that those were the only items that Hasina would even have from her home.
Wow.
Because they walked out with nothing, not even water bottles. You'd walk out with absolutely nothing. So I'm holding on to all these samples thinking we're going to do kind of an art tour. Amber has the letter. I said, Amber, this is an emergency. We've got to think of everyone. And she called me. She said, I just met this guy, Bon Payne. He's the new chief of staff for Governor Stitt. And she said, I was in a meeting with him. I told him about Hasina and gave him the letter. And then he called me and said, Susan, I don't know if there's anything that we can do, but we sure will try. And then it kind of moved along, and you don't think anything's going to happen. In the meantime, Hasina's hiding with her family, trying to save all the computer records of all of the women, you were trying to save the women.
Yeah.
Because she had all the data on all the women, and that could not fall into the hands of the Taliban.
So you had a larger responsibility. It's not just your family. You had a responsibility in a way that was that had to be a heavy situation for your spirits.
That is right. And when I was leaving Kabul, I had nothing. I had just one handbag that I had, and nothing else for my children.
They could be not suspicious at all
Exactly.
to neighbors or anyone.
Exactly. But I did take a risk, a very, very big risk. And it just came in my mind that we were talking about the women. I pull out the hard disk for the computers, for the 3 computers that had the women's data on that. And I had that one with me, and I was hiding it, like with me, even not putting it in the handbag. And I knew that if I got caught with that one, until they figure out that even what it is, those hard disks, my life would be in danger. But I chosen to just do that because I didn't want. I just thought that when I thought with myself, I said, okay, it's good if it's just me. If I like lose my life, or if I compare it with the 8,000 women that I'm working with,
That's a lot.
like full distress.
She had to be willing to risk her health online for all the women, but also for her children. There's several texts I have from her. She said, I hear the Taliban, I hear the guns, I hear the shooting. They could be coming for me. They're going through walls, like looking, tearing down walls within apartments, like looking for stuff. And she was just crying like, please, God, don't shoot them. Don't shoot me in front of my children. I have to save my children.
Wow.
So it was a very heavy time, and I am desperate. Like, I'm like the little lifeline, but I don't know that I have any resources at all. And then Von Payne is trying, and he called me and said, there's a man named Farhad who is going to help, and he's Iranian, and he will be kind of an intermediary. And in between all of this, this Sister Donna War knew, and she was saying prayers for Hasina and her family, and called me one night at 10:30 and said, Susan, I'm praying for Hasina. What's the situation? Like I said, I don't know. I'm still hoping, but we don't know anything. And the last thing she said in her prayer was, Dear God, please find a way for Hasina and her family to come out. And then 15 to 20 minutes later, Bon Payne called me. And the first thing he said was, Susan, I think we found a way out for Hasina and her family. Little did I know that he had connections with a New York philanthropist who was organizing one of the first air flights out after the big government air flight out.
Yeah.
The airspace had been closed. And he was essentially saying, you have to get Hasina to trust us. And we have nothing. We don't have passports. I had copies of her passports that I sent on to Governor Stitt. Bon Payne wrote a letter on the governor's stationery in the middle of the night. So she would have a letter inviting them to Oklahoma with all of the information on, naming the family members and what passport information I had. And then this got between Bon Payne and the New York philanthropist and Farhad. We were able to get their names on a manifest for this flight out of Kabul. But we didn't know when the airspace would open up. We didn't know when the plane would go. And it was interesting because I'd get calls. Okay, call Hasina, like 3 in the morning. Call Hasina, tell her to go. They have to go right now to the airport. And then I'd call and say, no, go back. Or this man, Farhad, would call me and he'd call Hasina, go now. And we didn't know if it was right or not. And you couldn't be suspicious. You had to pretend like she was getting into the car, but not taking any baggage. And little did we know, the New York philanthropist, Bond said, this man's going to call Hasina. His name is Bob. And he's going to Hasina. So this man, Bob from New York, called Hasina and said, didn't he say, trust me? No. He said, trust me. We are organizing this air flight and we are going to get you and your family on this flight. It turns out that Bob was Richard Nixon's grandson.
Wow.
So Hasina was talking to Richard Nixon, who was doing this private philanthropy and helping people to escape. So on one of those calls, Hasina trusted me, saying, head for the airport now. Farhad also called you and said, head for the airport now. They got in the car, and then you can share what happened en route to the airport because there were Taliban checkpoints and it was very dangerous.
Yeah, and it was very risky as well. When Susan called me and this other person, Bob, called me to trust with, and it was so difficult for me. I mean, for me I was able to do that if it's my own, but like putting my children's lives in danger or at risk, taking a risk for them was not easy at all for me. But then I was like kind of in between that, okay, I need to make a decision.
Yeah.
And blindly, I just said, okay. And I trust them. I said, okay, I will go to the airport. And even when we were going to the airport, we decided, I went to the other room and my mom had no idea. She's living with us. She had no idea. My children, they had no idea what I'm going to do. So they had to trust me. And I told them that you need to trust me. Although I was not confident that, okay, what I'm going to do.
I only had my word.
And you were just going in blind, and one wrong move, and that could have ended the entire.
Exactly. So I went there and I asked them that, okay, where are we going? And they had no idea where are we going. And I also had no idea, but I knew that we're going somewhere. So we decided to go, and when we reached the airport, there were like thousands of people there, and they're trying to go to reach out to the gate that is like this. They call it a safe passage to go to like any other country or to just cross. It was like kind of a border that they have made it. So here was the Taliban, the other side was the U.S. military. So we had to cross that one. And then we had to spend so many...
They had to abandon their car too at that point.
Exactly.
So you're on foot at that point.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we had to wait for so many hours without food. My daughter was only 3 years old.
And it was COVID time.
It was COVID.
So you're dealing with COVID. You're dealing with having to escape the Taliban.
No water.
No water. And it's
an elderly mother and children.
And it's all based off of complete and absolute trust in Susan and whatever could be organized by Susan. So
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why every time I told Susan the other day that every time when I came to Oklahoma, by the time when the plane land in here, I feel like I'm so relaxed and I feel I'm home. It's a strange feeling because I mean, I'm not living in here, but I have that feeling because I know the people out here, they were the ones who saved our lives. So they are the ones who helped us. So that's why I have that feeling. I feel like so connected to this city and to people in here. Yeah, so when we were in the airport, then we have spent so many hours out there, and I was trying to reach out to that, I call it, still I name it, that border in order to reach out.
It was called, was it Queen's Gate that you had to go to? There was some gate.
Yeah, that was
Because Farhad was calling me, they're not at such and such gate, they're not at the Queen's Gate. They have to get to the gate. And they had to get to the ambassador of Qatar
yeah.
with the 2 pieces of paper and no passports.
With no passports, and I was hiding the label.
That's amazing that you made it with no passport.
That was unbelievable. Well, whatever happened to us at that time was unbelievable. It was a miracle. Yeah.
Yeah, she had the 2 pieces of paper stuck under her sling.
Yeah, and I had to hide that one too because even itself, that paper itself was a risk because it was written in another language. Yeah, so definitely that was itself was a red flag, and I had to take so many risks. And then spending so many hours there in front of my children, in front of us. There were so many people was hit by the Taliban, and then
Shot
yeah,
in front of them.
in front of them. That's why still I have that phobia that I'm so scared whenever when I see police with anyone with a uniform, even though that they didn't have uniform, but as long as
They represent the same kind of fear, possibility of what could happen.
exactly. Sometimes when I'm driving and I see a police car behind me, like my hands are shaking. I'm kind of losing that. Okay, what I have to do. It's not that they haven't done anything to me, but it reminds me of what happened. But still, I want to be strong. Still, because I always remind myself that I am a mother and I'm a daughter, so I have to be strong. And for them, I have to be a role model for them because my mom have been through the same, almost same, or even I can say harder time than me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, and she was a role model for me. All the courage that I got is from her, and she was all the time like a role model for me. And I want the same that I should be for my daughter. Uh, so that's why one thing that she always tells me that you should never ever give up. Always try. There's always a way. And I have that in my mind. And that's the strongest message that I have in my mind. And that's the same thing that I have taught my daughter. And now I can see she's 7 now, but she knows that she should not give up. She should always try for an alternative. There's always a way.
Well, both of you are very remarkable people, and I've had the joy of knowing Susan for a long time and working with her in different capacities, and we became friends, and I've really valued that friendship. I'm not surprised that she is superwoman. We were
I am.
well, the thing is, I don't think a lot of remarkable people don't realize that they're remarkable. And then you have people that run the country that suffer Dunning-Kruger effect, and they believe that they're more gifted than they really are. But what you did, what you both managed to coordinate, it's absolutely incredible. And I am so happy to be able to tell part of your story because I know there's got to be there's so much more to it. We're getting the short form version of it, but I'm happy that everything did turn out okay, and I'm glad that you have an opportunity to continue your work that you're doing because it's highly commendable. And I'm happy to get to know you. I'm happy that you did the interview with us. Susan, we finally got to sit down.
That's right.
Yep, you finally did. Um, this is Life is Art with a very special coffee cup conversations. That's been a long time in the make, and I am glad that we were able to do this. I thank the both of you, and I'm looking forward to both of you listening and hearing the podcast.
Yes.
And I really appreciate it. Everybody share, like, and subscribe, particularly this episode. This one is very special to me. And let others know about this small but growing podcast. And until the next time, take care.